WATE 6. This is Tennessee This Week.
Good morning and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Lori Tucker. Glad you're with us. It is a leadership transition at Remote Area Medical, and I'm joined now by Chris Hall to talk about his new role as CEO of RAM, as well as a new partnership with South College to expand the free medical services RAM is so well known for offering. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
First things first, let's talk about your new role as CEO in just a moment. First, I want to talk about the need that you have seen, because you've been with RAM for a long time.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the need you've seen for healthcare access. We're at a critical time right now.
We are. You know, it's fortunate for me that I've been with the organization for quite a few years, so we've seen the evolution. But what we're seeing right now is more and more people needing access to basic care of dental and vision services. Everywhere we go, any state across the country that we're doing an event, 60% of our patients coming in are looking for free dental services.
Very interesting. Why is that?
You know, dental services can be, if you're in dental pain, it changes your life. It takes you away from going into work. It keeps you away from family. I mean, it's pain, it's suffering. And those services are not readily available for the people that are all across this country.
Well, and if you have a job change, dental services are often the first thing to go. You think, all right, I can do without that. Sometimes people even see it as a luxury, and it doesn't need to be that way.
Absolutely. I think it's around 50% of patients that come to the events had not seen a dentist in 10 or more years. So that kind of sets the tone. If people have not been seeing the dentist, they've not been getting routine cleanings and checkups along the way. So we're seeing people that are desperate for some type of care to relieve some pain that they have.
While we're talking about dentistry, let's talk about something that I think is such a wonderful service that you offer. It's pretty new, digital dentures.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
It's a new technology in the dental industry, and actually right now we're the only one in the world that has a mobile digital denture unit. So a patient can arrive at our clinic early, we can scan their mouth in the morning, 3D design those dentures, print them, and they walk away the same day or next morning with a brand new smile.
And what is it like to watch someone look in that mirror? You said you have a mirror moment, right?
Absolutely.
What must that be like? I might be in tears.
Absolutely. I think every time someone looks at themselves with a smile again, it brings tears to everyone's eyes. It truly changes their life. They walk in that morning, you know, people are judging them based off of having no teeth. And then that day they walk away with a smile where people see them as a human being that they are. It's pretty impressive. And
that leads to opening up so many avenues in their life.
Absolutely. It changes their life. And not just their life, the family around them.
Yeah. You said you've been with RAM for a long time now. You've been there since 1997, beginning as a volunteer. What got you interested?
So I was very fortunate. My dad actually encouraged me to do some volunteer work. He wanted me to experience a life different than the life that I had lived. And I went and at 12 years old, we showed up at this event in Lambs Mountain, Tennessee. And that event, I didn't have any skills. I couldn't do anything medical, but all I could do was clean glasses. So when patients picked out glasses, I was able to clean them with a cleaning cloth. And that experience shifted my life. It made me realize that there are ways to give back to the community and touch the community. And so I followed that optical career. All the way up until about 2013, I was working with a large optical company here in town, and Stan Brock called and said, RAM's growing. We want to do more events and see more patients across the country. Do you want to come join and make it happen? And so that's exactly what we did.
When Stan Brock calls, you don't say no.
You can't say no to Stan.
He had a very gentle way of getting people involved. And with the current need, how do you continue the legacy of Stan Brock, but put your own stamp on it?
You know, the legacy of Stan is really the people that he touched and the volunteers from all the years. Going forward, we're continuing to do our operations. We're continuing to expand services to the patients to give them the care they need where they're at. And how do you put your own touch on it? I don't know that anyone can live up to Stan's legacy. Stan was the giant that we stand in the shadows. But the thing Stan did is encouraged a lot of people around him, and we have a loyal team there at our headquarters that continue carrying this patient care every single weekend.
His name will live on in connection with RAM, and you were telling me, I don't know if you're comfortable with sharing this with everybody, we all found him to be so humble, a humble servant leader, but he said no to a lot of people who said, hey, we want to put your name on this bridge, we want to do this. What do you think about all that?
You know, Stan was a person who was larger than life. He was filmed, he was watched by 33 million Americans every week on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. But in the later years of his life, he gave all of that to RAM. He gave up every personal luxury that he could have to give to RAM. And in his final months of living, he did not want to leave a legacy of of Stan Brock. He wanted the legacy to be left as Remote Area Medical and the care that they gave. And so that's what he challenged everyone to do. Don't put anything on Stan's name. Put it on Remote Area Medical and carry it forward.
I think it's so cool that you got in at the age of 12 and really just handling glasses and being in the vision world really started your career. It's
Absolutely.
Pretty amazing. And here you are full circle with RAM leading the way. And you have a new partnership with South College. So it does continue to grow under your leadership. Talk about that expansion.
Yeah, so the partnership with South College brings their pharmacy school, our pharmacy techs, all through our clinics across East Tennessee. It gives the abilities for students to get hands-on patient care and also that true life experience that they're going to experience once they graduate. And we're excited. We partner with schools all around the nation doing exactly that. It gives students experiences and also gives them the ability to have that experience that changes their life, that sets their tone of what they're going to do for the next 20, 30 years of their life.
You know, it always, that's wonderful. And it always, I don't want to say boggles the mind. We don't want to be surprised by this, yet we are, even though we know where we stand with healthcare today and people who have such a need for it. But the long lines, every clinic you have, and you just had one here locally, and you had such long lines. Were you able to treat everybody who needed help?
At the end of the day, we still had to turn some patients away on Sunday. But patients who come and wait at our events sometimes 24 to 48 hours, sleeping in their car to receive those services. I think if nothing else, that sets the tone of where the healthcare is at in our nation. Like, people are willing to sacrifice days sleeping away from their home just to be able to get basic care. And the sad part is that's not just here in Knoxville, that's across the country. Everywhere that we go, we're seeing that need. And RAM's trying to address it everywhere that we can.
And how do you handle that need when it comes to here and abroad?
You know, we work with communities anywhere from 12 to 24 months to plan the clinics that we do. And in that 12 to 24 months, it's not only about a 2-day weekend clinic that we do, it's about the follow-up care after the event. How do we link those patients into care in their communities where we can?
That's a tough job.
It's a very tough job. And there's a staff of around 50 people at our headquarters that are dedicated day in and day out to make that possible.
How many people are employed there?
So we're around 54 people employed, and then about 17,000 volunteers in a single year.
I wasn't sure if you could even have a number.
Yeah.
And you always are in need of other volunteers who are experts in the different fields that in the services you provide.
Yeah, absolutely. Volunteers of all walks of life come and volunteer with RAM. So we just did the Knoxville event last weekend, and at that event we had probably close to 1,100 volunteers. Of those 1,100, half of them were professionals, doctors, dentists, nurses, and we need plenty of those. But the other half were general support. They were people that wanted to come and make a difference. They had no medical training, and we trained them on site how to serve a certain role in our clinic process.
Okay, could you give me some examples? Because I know there are people watching now saying, I want to help.
Absolutely. It could be
do?
anything from a patient liaison that follows a patient from the time they walk in the clinic till they receive their final service. It could be registering patients at our front computerized registration system, serving lunch to the volunteers or the patients that are there. There's all kinds of different roles. Everyone can play a part, and we'd love to have you.
Chris, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. We'll continue to follow your career and everything that RAM does. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, everyone. We're going to bring in our panel of pundits to weigh in on several different topics, including TVA's decision to not retire its coal fleet after all. Stay with us. We're back in 90 seconds. And welcome back to Tennessee This Week. Coming up in just a few moments, we'll talk a little bit more about RAM and the state of healthcare right now, what needs to happen. But we also want to talk about big news this week. TVA's board of directors met for the first time since reestablishing a quorum following a wave of firings at the direction of President Trump. During their meeting, the board decided to walk back the authority's plan to retire its coal fleet. Of course, before this decision was made, the coal stacks at Bull Run and Claxton were already taken down. However, TVA's decision to keep using coal has direct implications for the Kingston plant and its workers. So now let's bring in our panel of pundits to discuss these developments. Joining us today, Courtney Piper, Craig Griffith, and Michael Covington. Thank you all for being here. Courtney, let's begin with you. What is your initial reaction to TVA doing a backtrack on coal? Is this a step backwards, or is it a way for TVA to kind of pad its diverse energy portfolio?
This decision was a real head scratcher for me. The coal fleet, those are dinosaurs in terms of what our grid needs now. That coal infrastructure is not modern, it is not flexible, it does not meet the demands that are on our grid right now. So it does make sense to set a retirement date and work towards that while bringing more energy sources online. So this decision is is incredibly curious to me, primarily because we know that these assets just do not meet the needs that of the grid right now. Now, data centers gets talked about in this picture, but I think what's important to understand with data centers is their load, like, it really fluctuates dramatically. And a coal fossil fuel plant does not do this with it just goes straight. And so if you do not need all that energy that coal plant is producing, you are literally burning money because you can't ramp down the coal plant, you can't turn it off, you are literally burning money. It's called curtailing energy, and it goes nowhere. There are other types of generation assets where you can store that energy, where you can ramp up and ramp down to meet the demand that's on your grid, and coal assets just don't do that.
Craig, what do you make of this from a dollars and cents standpoint, given what Courtney said?
Well, Lori, we're going back to the 1950s. We're going to be burning coal to heat and cool in our homes. And with Thursday's decision by the EPA to overturn the endangerment rule, whereas they aren't going to regulate particulate matters, the things that come out of your tailpipe anymore, that means we're going to have coal plants firing our houses. We're going to have gas guzzling automobiles that are polluting the atmosphere again. And so it's going back to the 1950s in public policy, and it's a step in the right direction. Now, in the end, I hope that the consumer is not the one that pays for this decision, but I think they probably will, because these plants, as Courtney said, are going to be expensive to run. One of the reasons they're being taken out of service is because they're old, and their boilers and things like that have become dated. And they're also going to be very expensive to run because you have to put scrubbers on their smokestacks to keep the environmental pollutants out of the air, which are multi-million-dollar projects. And of course, at Kingston, it has the legacy of the coal ash spill, the Surrey that wiped out several neighborhoods there in Kingston, and those people there haven't forgotten that. And the legacy of both the spill and the cleanup after the spill are very important to those people. So it's a very difficult situation, and I think it's a mistake.
We talked to some of those people. In fact, one woman whose parents died after years of suffering from illnesses blamed on that spill, and she said, I thought I was going to have closure with all this gone, and now it's reopened a lot of the old wounds for this with this new decision. Michael, let's talk about the new TVA board, the timing of all of this. Do you think these new members are kowtowing to President Trump?
Yes. And I don't like the idea of politics dictating our energy, especially domestically. I think both Craig and Courtney are right on point with their concerns in terms of coal not being ready energy to warm our houses. Yes, Courtney's right on point. Coal is not good for that. Craig is also right. You cannot use 50s technology in 2030. It just doesn't work. The problem we have is we need efficiency experts at TVA, helping to reconcile all of the things that they tried to do 10 years ago that should be coming into play right now to lower our electric bills. I don't know that that's happening. And I think on this program a couple of weeks ago, I said, what are we doing? Are we supporting the lunacy that's coming out of TVA? 3 new board members replacing 3 board members that were fired so that the president could control energy at TVA. And then he turns around and says, the military's not gonna buy coal from TVA. What are we doing? Energy is too important to be politicized this way. And I became very disenchanted with the articles when I started to read about DEI being a consideration. Diversity in energy? Really? Is that important? These 450 jobs, I know the president campaigned on that, but let's keep it real. We need someone that has a technical background at TVA helping to guide that board. And right now we don't have that.
You know, President Trump spoke hours after TVA's decision to not phase out coal. Let's listen to a portion of what he had to say.
They're going to remain open, and they're going to be vibrant. They're going to be improved, built up, and continue to do all the things that they do. These 2 plants were slated for termination, but we're going to save over 450 jobs by keeping them going and going strong.
Also, Roane County Executive Wade Creswell adding this about his county.
Today's a huge day for Roane County. First and foremost, for the 250 people who work here every day, get up every morning to keep our power turned on. This is huge for them to be able to stay right here without TVA, finding alternative placement for them.
All right, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on what the president and the county executive had to say, and we'll just go right down the line.
Well, this is a gift to the coal industry, the extraction industry, the people that mine the coal. And I might point out in Tennessee, what little coal mining goes on is owned by foreign companies. They aren't local. They are in the state of Tennessee. They're owned by large mega corporations. So, we're benefiting foreign sources for a lot of it. And these plants, when they went away, they were not going to be. There was not going to be any more power generation at those locations. There was going to be gas plants put in. There was going to be alternative storage systems that Courtney talked about that were getting developed on those. So I'm not sure that you would have turned off those 450 jobs. Would they have been doing something different? Yes. But I think that it was not going to be on the unemployment lines because of this decision to do away with Kingston. So, I don't agree with anything that they said.
Courtney.
Same. I think it is a false premise for this false narrative out there that these 250 jobs were just people were going to go to the unemployment line. TVA is a large entity with lots of needs. They could have easily been gone into other business verticals, gone into other units where TVA was building other power plants or assets. They could have, gone there. So, it's a very, very false narrative that I do not think serves the Valley well. We do have a lot of energy needs here. It will require a very robust workforce. And I do not like this narrative that's being creative of kind of an us versus them. We want to invest in 1950s technology to take us into the next decade. We're not going to win with that sort of attitude.
Why would the president decide on something like this, taking steps backward?
Well, as you've seen, that he's campaigned with coal workers before. He has embraced coal technology and things like that, and it's the technology of 1950. It's not the technology of the next decade. So I think that he was trying to keep a campaign promise, which was I didn't think a very good promise.
All right, let's switch gears now to the race for Knox County Mayor. It is heating up just a little bit. A Democrat has now entered the race. 34-year-old Bo Hawk is the president of the Knoxville Oak Ridge Central Labor Council. There are 3 candidates on the Republican ticket. Knox County Commissioner Larson J. was first to enter the race, followed by School Board Member Betsy Henderson and County Commissioner Kim Frazier. So here's the big question. Do you think Hawk has a shot against any of these 3 Republican candidates?
Good luck. Good luck to him. I think he's a good candidate, has some pluses in his record, but the county's overwhelmingly Republican, except for the city. I mean, he'll win the city probably from whoever he runs against, just like many of the people that have run against Tim Burchett have won in the city limits of Knoxville. But the county's overwhelmingly Republican, and for him to win countywide would be an upset of the century, of the decade, of the world. So,
wow, okay, those are powerful words.
And he's behind the 8 ball in terms of going out at this point in time and trying to raise and matching the amounts of money that have been raised on the Republican side. Larson J. has raised $772,000 for his campaign, which I personally think is probably a record for amount of money to be raised for a local election in this area.
He's been at it for a while.
He has, and he's been successful. So, and I noticed during the Super Bowl Sunday, he was running some TV ads. So he was, he's making use of that money. So I think he's behind the 8 ball to it. Hawk is behind the 8 ball to a degree, and getting it into this race a little late.
But at least we have not all one ticket. There's a little bit more balance here.
I love this candidate for Democrats. Democrats should be very excited about Bo Hawk. His background, he gets up every single morning and works on behalf of working families. What a powerful message to campaign on. And he is a leader within the Knoxville Oak Ridge Central Labor Council. He is a business representative for the Knoxville Building and Construction Trades. Those are the #1 issues facing Knox County right now, is building, construction, and infrastructure, and he can speak intelligently on it, and he will represent working families, and that really distinguishes him from the crowd. So I'm excited about this candidate. I think Knox County Democrats should be very excited about this candidate. And now we can show Knox County voters a choice. They will have a clear choice to make, which I think is always a good thing. Nobody deserves a free lunch.
All right, Michael.
Money can make people love you. Money can also make people hate you. That's money in campaigns. This race will be decided on August 6th and not May 5th now. That's very significant. We're going to hear from Bo Hawk. We're going to hear what his ideas are. We're going to hear the 3 Republican candidates. We're going to gain different perspectives. Mr. Hawk is going to talk about his fiscal policy. That should be very interesting, and I hope to hear a lot from him about that. This race, as Courtney said, has taken a dramatic turn, and I've been asking her about this for weeks, and Courtney was very coy. She did not reveal that a candidate was coming and that that candidate would be strong. Whether he has a chance to win in Knox County, we're going to see that on August 6th. On a Thursday, voters, this general election is on a Thursday. That's very significant. A lot of folks don't like to vote on Thursdays. And when I say that, people look at me like, what do you mean? Some people only vote in presidential elections. Some people only vote in federal elections. Some people only vote on Tuesdays. That's just all there is to it. We have our habits. This race is going to be very interesting, and I'm looking to hear what the Republicans candidates have to say now that this race is going to go until August 6th.
All right, reminder everyone, yes, August 6th. On that note, stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. I want to take a moment, circle back to RAM and healthcare needs across Tennessee. Craig, these long lines send a big message.
Yes, they're sad. And I want to reiterate what he said about the dental needs that RAM is meeting at these different clinics. In my time at volunteer ministry, working with homeless people, and one of the worst problems they had was their dental issues. The problems of, not being able to eat well because of the tooth decay. And also, it was a real impediment to getting a job. It was very difficult for the peoples with those dental problems to go in at a job interview, missing teeth and things like that. So they're addressing a real need. And of course, every bit of RAM services are needed because Tennessee hasn't expanded Medicaid in this state. So there are lots of people that don't have health insurance and don't have the places to take care of all their physical needs. And so RAM is stepping up like very few other people in the country are.
Proud that they're here.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, sad that it's needed.
Yeah.
Glad
Well,
that
you
they're
go to
here.
you go to their events and you see those long lines. It's just sad that the efforts that people have to go to access just basic health care.
This is where we are.
It's where we are.
Before we let you go, we really want to remember someone so special and so powerful in our county, and that's former Knox County Commissioner Diane Jordan, who passed away following complications from a stroke. She was the first Black woman to serve on Knox County Commission. She served 4 terms from 1992 to 2007. More recently, she was on the board of the Beck Cultural Exchange Center. She was a big difference maker, known for breaking local barriers, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say she was also known for her stylish hats.
Yes, she was.
Yes, she was something else.
When I first started getting into Knox County politics, Diane Jordan, she was a force, and I always enjoyed just running into her at any sort of political event and talking with her, observing and admiring her style. She's just such a wonderful figure in Knox County politics, and she will be missed tremendously.
She was unafraid.
She was not afraid. And if you were willing to listen to Diane, she would give you an education on politics and anything community related. I can remember her educating me on the importance of giving people good voting advice. And I literally watched her with someone who wanted her to tell them who to vote for. She talked to them about who they were, and then she gave them a recommendation. And I have followed through on that to today.
Diane Jordan certainly made her mark on this community. Thank you all for being with us today. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll see you back here next week.
The views of guests on Tennessee This Week are their own and do not represent the views of WATE 6, On Your Side, or Nexstar Media Group Incorporated.